Hello, and welcome to another episode of I Demand a Homestead. My name is Amanda, and today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing our third video in our episode of 3 on how to make kombucha. So the first video was kind of on how to get your kombucha started once you have your starter culture, which is your SCOBY. Then we had our second video on how to add flavorings to your kombucha after it's fermented enough. So this is doing the secondary fermentation. And then lastly today we're going to talk about bottling it. So what I have here is I have a black tea kombucha which is fermented with sugar. And about 3 days ago we added some powdered turmeric and powdered ginger and black pepper to it. Sometimes I put in frozen berries or other herbs or whatever. You can put in fruit juices, whatever you like. You also, if you want it to be a little bit sweet, or if you want it to have some carbonation, you need to put a little bit of sugar in there, or in this case we used inulin, which is a non-digestible fiber that still tastes sweet, but is fermentable by the bacteria and yeast in here, so which will still give us a little bit of carbonation when we put it in the bottles. So what I'm going to do today is, first of all, I'm going to strain out the solids from here, especially like if you've put fresh chopped ginger or fresh grated lemon zest or whatever, or your frozen berries. You're going to want to strain out the particles. I have tried it a few times where I've just bottled it and put the berries or whatever inside, and it just didn't taste as good when I'm getting a mouthful of, I don't know, the berry just tasted weird. So anyway, I usually strain it out. It's up to you, you don't have to, but that's what I'm going to do. So what I've got is I've got a big pot, which I know is going to be the right size to hold all of the kombucha. And then I've just got a colander. These are all really nicely washed and cleaned. That's important because we're going to be putting this into our bottles, and we don't want to introduce any other bacteria or any molds or anything like that. And then I've got a little cheesecloth, which I'm just going to lay in here. Okay. And then I'm just going to pour this into the pot, which again, as I said, is cleaned. So hopefully we won't spill any. So there's really, because I put powdered, there's a little bit of a little SCOBY actually has kind of formed on the top of that, even in those 2 days. So once we've got all of this strained out, just going to take my cheesecloth and give it a little squeeze. I don't want to lose any of that good kombucha. Pretty much it. And then, I mean, you can take this cheesecloth and wash it if you wanted to, like obviously take the little bits out of there. I do sometimes with the berries, but I don't with the turmeric, just because it is such a strong color that it tends to kind of dye my clothes crazy colors when I do that. So I usually just will put that into the composter because it's just made of cotton. So now I have my pot of kombucha here, and I'm going to bottle it. So what I'm going to use is these 500 milliliter swing top bottles. If I come a little closer here, you guys can see them better. Okay, so here is the swing top bottle. So then all you have to do with these is it has a little kind of like, this is made of ceramic, and then a little bit of a rubber kind of lip there, and then it just closes down like so. Nice part about this is that if there's excess pressure, you can kind of just come in here and pop that open and then let off a little bit of the extra gas, and then you can reseal it again, so that way, you know, your bottle won't kind of explode. If you don't have one of these, that's fine too. You can use just a twist off bottle. Just make sure that you're kind of opening it and closing it every so often, just to make sure you're not getting too much pressure in here. The brown color is nice too, because sometimes, I mean, not that we keep our kombucha too long, but The brown protects some of the nutrients from sunlight, because some of the, like if you're using fruit juices or whatever, they can be damaged by sunlight. So you want to keep all those antioxidants and all that good stuff in there. So you want to have the brown bottle, or keep it out of the sunlight. So in the fridge would be fine. All right, so what I'm going to use to bottle with this is I'm just going to use my funnel. Put it in here. Normally I do this over the sink because sometimes it likes to spill, but hopefully for today's purposes it will go nicely. So I just kind of put the funnel in here. I scoop a little bit of this out. I've heard of some people putting it into a big pitcher and just using it that way. That would be fine. This is just kind of what I have, so that's the way I do it. And then over the sink to prevent spilling a little bit more. Probably going to leave about an inch of neck space at the top, just to kind of allow for a bit of fermentation to happen. Need a little bit of oxygen for that. All right, so then at that point what I'm going to do is I'll just kind of put my funnel here somewhere safe where it's not going to get contaminated. So then I kind of just close that lid just the way I showed you before. So I tighten it up down here. Okay. Now this one, we did put a little bit of extra sugar or inulin in here just to try and get a secondary fermentation. What you can do too, if you want, because sometimes I find I don't get enough carbonation just after having done that, is you can put a tablespoon of sugar or so directly into the bottle and then pour your kombucha on top. So we'll pause for a second and then we'll do that too. Okay, so I've got my container of sugar here. And this is just table sugar, white sugar. And I'm gonna put about half a teaspoon right in here, just into the bottom of the bottle, just like that. So if you're finding that you're not getting enough carbonation by doing it kind of the way that I had before, especially I find in the wintertime, you might need a little bit more sugar to get more carbonation because it's not as warm in the house. In the summertime when it's a lot hotter, we get lots of bubbles. Not so much now. So then we're gonna fill this one up, same as before. All right, perfect. So again, I'm going to seal that up. This one will probably have more carbonation than the other one, so I might just drink that one flat, because you can do that too, depending on how you like it. So at this point, what I'm going to probably do is put these somewhere warm. I'm going to probably put this by our vent in the floor where the warm air comes out of. I'll leave it there for probably 2 or 3 days, and then I'm going to just check it by giving one of them a little burp. So just kind of opening it like that, and if I get a nice pop and the bubbles that I want, then I will put the rest of them in the fridge, and then they'll be ready to go. If I don't get the kind of pop that I want, I may leave it a few more days, and then by then it should be good. Again, sometimes in the wintertime it takes a little bit longer, and then you may decide you need more or less sugar. Make sure you do check them though, because if you don't and you leave them out in someplace warm, they'll keep fermenting that sugar. And eventually, if you don't do anything about it, your bottles can actually explode. So please check them. All right. So let me know how it goes. And if anybody has a favorite kind of kombucha recipe that they like, please feel free to post it. I'm always kind of wanting to try new things with what we have around. So that would be great. So thank you for joining me on another episode of I Demand a Homestead. If you enjoyed our video, please feel free to subscribe. And then we will hope to see you again for our next episode. All right, everybody, take care. Good night.